guys, as you may be hearing in the background, yes, the convention is running, and as far as I know, everybody is giving their delegates to Trump. It is a landslide in favor of Trump at the moment. But big news, Trump has gone through and announced his vice president is J.D. Vance from the great state of Ohio. So at the end of the day, after a lengthy deliberation and thought, and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I've decided that my person best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senate J.D. Vance, the great state of Ohio. J.D. honorably served our country in the Marine Corps, graduated from Yale Law School, graduated from Ohio State in 2 years. Yeah, sorry, I missed the line there. And is a Yale Law School graduate, where he was editor of the Yale Law Journal. So he's a veteran. He wrote a book that's been made into a Netflix movie. Yeah. So the big question everybody's asking is he establishment or what, right? Because this is the big thing. Because at the end of the day, if Trump is impeached or taken out, Vance will become the president if Trump wins in November. Right? Now, he is a war vet, or he served in the Iraq War. But at his Forbes' breakdown on him, he's 39-year-old veteran of the Iraq War. Former venture capitalist, is elected to Senate after Trump endorsed him, which helped him beat the GOP primary challenger. Billionaire PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel was a big supporter of Vance during his Senate run, donating $15 million, the largest amount ever to bolster the individual Senate candidate. The one-time Thrill employee, Vance rose to prominence in 2016 when his mentor chronicling the social, economic, and cultural effects of manufacturers' decline in Ohio. His campaign website lists his priorities as reducing unnecessary spending and inflation. Good. Boosting domestic oil production and gas production, combating the drug and opioid epidemic, and ending abortion and protecting the state southern border and challenging immigration policies. Vance is a firebrand known for his sometimes controversial rhetoric. After Trump was shot on Saturday, Vance suggested in a tweet that the President Joe Biden's campaign strategy led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination by suggesting Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs. Although Vance hasn't always supported Trump, which is interesting, he has grown to be a defender and a campaigner for the former president, and has ideas including his own views on trade policy and limiting foreign aid. Like that. He also has developed a close relationship with Donald Trump Jr., who's expected to formally introduce Trump's running mate on Monday. Vance said that he didn't vote for the former president in the 2016 election. Interesting. And former roommate said that Vance had texted him saying Trump was cynical and could be America's Hitler. Interesting. The Associated Press reported in October 26, Vance tweeted Trump was reprehensible, saying that the then-president candidate makes people I care about afraid, and criticizes him for his anti-immigration and anti-Muslim policies. But Vance came around in 2021 and said he regretted his past comments about Trump, which secured him from the former president's endorsement. When Trump endorsed Vance in 2022 race, he acknowledged the candidate's criticisms, saying, like some others, J.D. Vance may have said some not great things about me in the past, but he gets it now, and I've seen that in spades. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. I wonder where he stands on things like Israel and Palestine. Let's have a look. Right, so here is his statement on the war in Israel. The horrible terrorist attack launched by Hamas are an act of war, said Vance. We must unequivocally condemn these horrendous attacks of violence against the innocent civilians and the Iran regime for funding the terrorists who carried them out. Today is the most important in the United States with our allies in Israel offer praise for our victims of these attacks. We must also recognize the intent behind those acts of war as our allies in Israel strive for peace in the Middle East. The Iranians hope that these attacks will undermine the progress of our allies and made towards a stable relation. Israel has a right to self-defense, including striking back with overwhelming force against their enemy. Now as ever, we must support our allies and fight for their freedom and security. So, it's a bit of a concern. What's he say about the war in Russia? So here's an article. Hang on, never mind. So we do have this. Republican opponent of the US aid to Ukraine brings his case to an international conference. So a Republican opponent for the US funding of Ukraine war argued in an international security conference on Sunday that the package struck in Congress won't fundamentally change the reality on the ground that Russia has an incentive to negotiate peace. I like him, actually. He sounds alright, though. Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky, yes, President Kara, and others have advocated passage of the $60 billion in aid and blah, blah, blah. But Vance, the Republican for Donald Trump, said the problem in Ukraine is that there's no clear endpoint and that the US doesn't make enough weapons to support the war in East Europe. If the package goes through, it's not fundamentally going to change the reality on the battlefield. We can send a level of weaponry, we've sent for the last 18 months, he asked. We simply cannot, no matter how many checks the US Congress writes. So not exactly condemning it, but also not exactly supporting it either, is he? He's just saying it's a waste of time. But yeah, guys, at the end of the day, that is the vice president will be listed as J.D. Vance as Trump's running mate. So it's now the Trump-Vance 2024 campaign. Now, obviously, I would have liked to have seen the Vic Ramaswamy, but to be honest, he's actually probably better suited for another position. So maybe we might get sort of like a chief of staff. So obviously at the end of the day, something like here where he sort of takes that position. I'd like to see the Vic Ramaswamy there. And I think that might be a really, really good position and sort of set him up for 2028. But guys, yes, this is it. Trump, Vance, 2024. Not who I would have picked. I would have rather like Tulsi Gabbard or someone like that. But at the end of the day, seems like he might be okay. I don't know if he's establishment or not. We'll have to see. But at the end of the day, this is who Trump has picked. So at the end of the day, yeah, let's all board the Trump train. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, guys. Apart from that, have a great night and enjoy.